Hi, it's Stacy from Families with Grace, and today we are talking about 5 ways to set effective routines for your family. Studies abound about the benefits kids glean from having predictable routines at various ages. For example, a 2016 study from the Journal of Applied Developmental Psychology found that people who had predictable routines in childhood were more likely to have better time management skills and attention spans in adulthood. Another study back in 2014 in the Journal of Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics found that preschoolers who had routines, including things like singing, reading, playing, and eating dinner with their families, were emotionally healthier. And a study last year in BMC Public Health concluded that bedtime routines are associated with children's well-being. The studies continue on and on from researchers who specialize in such things. I can just tell you that as a mom, I found routines to be invaluable to our family's happiness. My kids thrive when they know what to expect and how things will go. I think we all end up happier and even get better rest with maintaining a few routines. All right, so the first thing is to keep it simple. When it comes to routines, the simpler the better because that makes them easier to maintain. During my daughter's toddler days, as we were really getting settled into a bedtime routine, my husband and I talked about what we wanted to do each night and how to keep it simple. We opted not to include a bath in our nightly routine because giving a bath every single night just wasn't going to happen. So we decided on a prayer, a book, 2 songs, and then being tucked in. 9 years later, that routine is almost exactly the same. We don't do the songs any longer, but we pray, read, and tuck in every single night. This has varied a bit through the years as our kids have grown. When they had different bedtimes and were farther apart cognitively, we did things differently. They each had their own version of this bedtime routine. Since moving into our new house, we've shifted so that both kids do their bedtime hygiene routines together. Then they head to a bedroom where they both pray, we read a book out loud, usually a chapter book these days, and we exchange hugs and kisses all around, and then get everyone tucked in and settled for the night. The second thing is to be purposeful. Don't create a routine just for the sake of creating one. Our bedtime routine, for example, helps our kids wind down each evening because they know what's coming, and it's how they've always gone to bed. Other routines are more out of necessity. Like school mornings mean I wake up the kids and they go to the bathroom, get dressed, and style their hair before coming to breakfast. The night before, I lay out clothes for them, complete with undies and socks, so there's no scrambling around in the morning trying to decide what to wear. Everything has a purpose. They get dressed first because they can take their breakfast in the car if they are running late, but they can't change clothes in the car on the way to school. It also gives me time to make their breakfast while they're doing their tasks. And every morning they know what to expect, so our mornings are really pretty calm. Be consistent is number 3. This sounds obvious, but in order for a routine to work and to stick, you have to be consistent. While research can't completely agree on how long it takes to form a habit, I've found anywhere from 7 to 66 days, it definitely does take time. And that means you have to be consistent even when you don't feel like it. Our bedtime routine, for example, took us working at it every single night to make it happen. I won't even pretend that it always runs smoothly even now because kids are kids and get distracted. Just the other night, for example, I had to tell my son to stop foot attacking his sister and brush his teeth because the kids were goofing off a bit. But they were still sticking with the routine. He had his toothbrush in his hand, as did she. That also means that when I don't feel like following through with what my kids expect, then I still need to. Of course, there are exceptions to the rule. Life happens, people get sick, schedules change, but be consistent as possible and routines will get ingrained, stick around, and be effective. Another way to work on routines is to communicate. I'm not sure if I can think of any family topic that doesn't somehow include communication. Communication is so incredibly important. It is important when setting and sticking to routines as well. For example, my husband and I have discussed what some of our routines will be. We've discussed what will work for bedtime or getting ready in the mornings. We've made plans of action together so that we're on the same page. When the routine changes up, like our one night of the week that the kids have gymnastics and ninja class, we make sure to remind the kids of it. We will tell them how and why things will be different and what to expect. So even if our routine switches up, they know what to expect and handle it much better as a result. And finally, change what doesn't work. Sometimes you start a routine, and even if you've been purposeful, communicated about it, and stuck with it, it just isn't working. Don't stick with it just to stick with it. Adjust it to make it work. We recently changed up a bit of our bedtime routine to move from our bedroom to our son's bedroom to see if that will help him settle into bed a bit easier. The verdict's still out on that one, but we will continue to tweak as necessary because things change, life changes. The kids get older, they have different needs, they have different expectations, and they can do things differently for themselves as well. And that's just some of the ways that our family works to set some effective routines that really do help make our everyday life easier. Thanks.